Hi, my name is Huron, and this is Subunit 2.2 for EEC 3005. The question to start off the discussion post was, in the video, the center director states that play is a child's work, and what does she mean by this? The narrator in the video, Doreen Dubik, states that children develop through play, and that play is essentially what a child is meant to do. In a wonderful or in an engaging, inviting childhood or preschool classroom, there are various learning centers, and typically anytime you walk in, you see lots of children at the different centers doing lots of learning through various aspects of play. It's important for the children to feel challenged in the centers that they choose to play in. But it's also important to allow the children to have some independence on choosing the materials or centers they want to be involved in. That allows them to have a little bit of that independence. Children that are in early childhood or early child care centers are in that early stage of life, that sensory motor or pre-operational stage, and they're not ready to sit behind a desk in a classroom and be taught instructionally. So the way that they learn is through their playing, and that is what their brains are designed to do, and they are making those great developmental advances as they continue on through their preschool years. It's important that while the child is playing, that they're able to feel comfortable and to be themselves, because you want the child to be as safe and feel safe and feel like they can approach any center or any part of the classroom and enjoy what they decide to do. There is evidence in the video that suggests that the teaching team is working hard to provide play-based activity centers that influence and encourage development. So I touched on a little bit in the last question, but the biggest thing to remember is that you want the child to initiate the activity. That helps build their independence, and when a child feels independent, they have a positive self-view or self-concept of themselves. They start to learn that they don't need the adult to do everything, and that when they're able to make their own decisions, they gain the trust in themselves to kind of open up a little bit, and you see their social-emotional development change over time. As an instructor or as a preschool teacher, it's important to be flexible. They're little kids, so things happen, plans could change. As mentioned in the video, they visit the curriculum and the theme monthly, but the lesson plans and the day-to-day type lessons are changed around or edited or fixed every couple weeks. So it's very, there's a lot of flexibility in that as well. It's very fluid. It's not concrete and permanent on what they're going to teach the children which day. And it's just important to remember that it is okay to allow the child to decide what they want to play with. I think a variety is nice. So on some days when it's center time or when it's time to move into different areas of the classroom, you can allow the child to choose. And then some days it's nice to just give them a variety and only pull out a few centers or only open a few centers so that the children have specific areas to choose from. And that all can be changed or adjusted to match the classroom age. And for the question with the 4 examples in the video for social-emotional developmental skills, really that's almost anything that the child is doing either by themselves or with a classmate. Specifically in the video, when they're working together to build the blocks, they're creating those connections with their friends, even if they might be parallel playing or playing side by side. They're still kind of immersing themselves into those relationships with their peers and figuring out how to share and how to build together so they can build something taller and things like that. Dramatic play is a great area to build those social emotional skills. When it's community helpers theme, you can put doctors' coats and firefighter vests and police officer badges over there and allow the children to pretend to be the community helpers they see around the city. And that's a great way for them to start thinking about, other adults that are safe, and that, help them other than their mom and dad and their teachers. Another great example in the social emotional development was the sing-along time during the circle time. Singing along with the teacher, being able to have feelings about specific songs and music allows the children to kind of tap into their into their senses and make positive connections about the songs that bring them happiness when they hear it at school. For cognitive skills, I liked the little boy that went over to the library and picked out his own book and plopped it down next to his teacher and kind of tapped it, and in his own way, since he wasn't really talking yet, was like, let's read this. And I think that's really fascinating to see in little children that they have their desires and their wants set up so early on, but yet the communication comes a little later. So their brains are working really hard and they know what they want, but as language develops, then they're able to verbalize what they want. But as a preschool teacher and as a parent, you're able to kind of sense and gauge those needs even before they're verbal. And that goes right into the language development portion. Reading a book and being read to a book, or being for a child being read to, all those different experiences with listening to language really just fires those synapses in their brain that start that allow them to start developing into those 1 to 2 sentence conversations. And then by the time they're 3, 4, and 5, they're telling you full-on stories, and their language has developed rapidly over the last couple years. And then for physical development, really anything can be physical, but anything that they do in the classroom that uses their hands or feet. I saw a couple of children painting, and that's a great way for a child to develop their fine motor skills by being able to grip the paintbrush correctly, and then the brush strokes on the paper, and learning how not to make a mess and keeping their paint on the paper. Those are all really good skills to learn that tap into that cognitive development, as well as the physical and the gross motor, or the fine motor with their paintbrush. And then the other great one that was also that also plays into science is the children that were playing with the manipulatives in the water station. That sensory development that they feel from being, with their being able to get their hands in and wet and feel the Legos and feel how they feel, or the blocks or whatever it is, and talk about whether they float or sink, is a great way for a child to start to understand what happens when things go in water, and what happens if you take them out, and what happens when you put your hands in water, whether they're wet or dry, and things like that. Sorry this video is a little lengthy. I enjoyed this one, but I just think it's really important for kids to be able to learn through play, and as a preschool teacher, it's fascinating to watch that all happen. Thanks.